Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Surrey Tennis Talks. In the episode this week, we're going to take a look at the upcoming county training weekend. We're going to touch on the French Open, and we're also going to answer and ask Justin question. So first of all, Justin, how are you doing? Are you well?
Yeah, very good, thank you. It's nice to see a bit of sunshine today after all the rain that we've had, and nice that we're getting to the conclusion now of what should be a very exciting weekend of tennis at Roland Garros, with a new Polish girl, Swiatek, taking on Kenin, and then a few familiar faces in the semi-finals today. And just putting it out there, come on, Diego, let's go.
Yeah, well, after that match against Team, I know he's won a lot of fans. He's won a lot of fans. I think he's fantastic. What a brilliant game to watch.
Well, he's amazing. And I tell quite a lot of the players, in our program, obviously because they're juniors and they're quite small, but we also have some quite small juniors. It's quite nice that players like Schwartzman do well, because it shows that it's not always about how big you are and how strong you are. I mean, Schwartzman's a strong guy, but he's a small guy. I mean, he's like 5'7", 5'7.5". I've stood next to him waiting to get seated in the restaurant. I've stood with him in the elevators at tournaments, and I come out of the elevator and I say to Joe, I'm taller than him, right? And he goes, well, I go, come on, this guy's tiny. He goes, well, so it's great, with all these big guys smashing the ball around. Timing, work ethic, movement, strategy, shot selection. These are still really important parts of the game. So looking forward to a good semi-final day today.
Yeah, I think it certainly breaks the stigma that as you said, you have to be a ginormous over 6 foot player, to win, and best of luck to him. So we've got county training coming up this weekend. So just want to give us a breakdown as to which events are happening.
Yeah, this weekend it's the turn of the under 14 boys at Sutton. So that'll be over there with Sean Malcolm and Chris Tucker. We've got the under 11 boys who are hanging out this weekend at Reeds, which is great. I mean, it's just lovely that all these indoor centres are still open and still open for business and willing to take our place. So really grateful for that. Under 18 boys as well. They're playing at Reeds. We've got the under 10 girls playing over at David Lloyd Purley. We have the under 11 girls playing at the Surrey Indoor Tennis Centre. I'll be looking after that session on Saturday night with Chrissy Runicles, and we've got under 14 girls as well. They're out with Penny Batcher and Emily Sutcliffe, and then we've set up a group. We've got so many players, Lewis, under 12. It's a really big age group. So we sort of under 11, under 12 boys. We set up another big group, and they're all great players. 16 players. It's really full. I think at an early age, it's sensible to have a really big base of good young players, and don't really put all your money, onto too many players' heads. Just keep the base really broad. So we've got another under 11, under 12 session on Sunday, and then we've got an under 12 girls session, which Lucy Charlton is captaining. So yeah, I think it's really important. We've had one weekend of county training already. We're starting to get to know the players again, because it feels like lockdown was a long time ago, but it was during that season when we would have been seeing a lot of players competing. So, hey, it's lovely to get back on the court again with these great young players and give them a chance, with the idea that really January 2021, we should know all the players inside out, back to front, all their games, and we can put them into really tight squads, tight sessions, and then have a lot of competition for places, because I think that is key. That's what players sort of turn up for. So, yeah, that's the buzz this weekend. So really looking forward to it.
Brilliant. And how's the response from the players been getting back in the swing of county training? Is there sort of a bit of nervousness, or is everyone just back to how it was before?
Well, because of the competition structure, it's a little bit up and down, in that people don't quite know if a competition is definitely going to go ahead. I suppose there's a little bit of nervousness out there, just in terms of, are things really going to be running on a weekend, because they could just last minute get cancelled. But the take up for counter training has been fantastic. And look, if anyone doesn't feel great, or a little bit nervous about playing inside, then then just, doesn't matter. Just don't come. We give players credits, or if suddenly a tournament becomes open and they want to do that because they haven't played tournaments for a while, yeah, jump in that, no problem at all. So it's all very flexible, but the response to the call for training has been really, really good.
Brilliant, fantastic, and we hope everyone has a lot of fun that's competing this week. So just flipping back to the French Open, then obviously we now know our finalists for the women. We've got Kenin in the final, obviously already a Grand Slam champion, and a bit of an unknown quantity in Swiatek. So just wanted to get your opinion really on Swiatek's rise to the top, really, and her journey so far, and how a player of that age can cope with such incredible pressure.
Well, a buddy of mine, and who's well known to British tennis, a coach called Nick Brown, has been talking about this young lady for years and years. In fact, I was sitting at Wimbledon 3 years ago, and he came over and he said, "Hey, if you get a chance to come and have a look at this young girl, Swiatek, I've been working with for a few years." He was going over to Poland and working with her. He said, she's something else. She really is something else. So I think if you look at tennis as a whole now, we used to sort of poo-poo ball strikers and say, I remember there was a time where if you didn't have the tactical nous, or you didn't have a whole court game, then maybe you weren't going to come through. Oh, he's just a ball striker. Well, hold on just a second. Because to get anywhere, I think, certainly in the female game now, you need to be hitting that ball clean. And that's where I think a lot of coaching needs to understand just how hard and how clean and how thoroughly well struck these tennis balls are nowadays. All right. So the girls play with slightly lighter tennis balls. I don't know how many people out there knew that, but they are really ripping it. And the trajectory of a tennis ball, most of the time, if you want the ball to get from A to B, it needs to get there in the shortest route, which is pretty low over the net. And it's not sort of like 2 meters over the net, lots of high flight, because that just gives your opponent plenty of time to get over there and just bury the next one. So you notice that the players, it's nice to have a bit of variety. It's nice to have the slice. Of course, the slice is making a big comeback. And volleys, but most of the volleys you see players playing are like tidy up volleys, clean up volleys, after having smashed the hell out of a ball from the sort of middle of the court, but even from the back of the court now, they're just smashing it. So yes, get your ball striking in nice and early. So if you've got a good 10 or 11-year-old girl, make sure she knows where the middle of the strings is, what it feels like to hit the back of the ball, what it feels like to hit the back of one ball, the back of two balls, the back of three balls, and the back of four, because that's the strike zone that you want to have at contact, not sort of just coming off the ball and making the spin impact on the ball too early. You've got to drive straight through it and really push your opponent back off the court. And then if you've got those sort of ancillary skills, the little drop shots, the little inside out shots, the high balls, those will sort of be the icing. But I think now the foundation of a good female player is that quality ball strike. So that's where we are, Lewis. That's where we are this weekend. So looking forward to a great final.
Yeah, certainly. I think the how heavy she hits her shots. I think the commentator was saying that she was hitting them around the same speed Yannick Sinner was hitting his forehands against Nadal, which I think is incredible. And just quickly, do you think that's something she was sort of born with? Is that just natural ability, or has she worked really hard on hitting the ball hard?
I know that my friend Nick, who I've just spoken about, Nick Brown, he's got a great expression, which is muller it, muller the ball. And if he's been telling Swiatek to muller the ball for all those years, then she's certainly got the idea. And I'm working with a really nice crop of about 5 or 6 girls at the moment. And for the last couple of years, mullering the ball is pretty important, and just become so it's a must. So hitting through the ball really, really hard. Now, the problem is with junior tennis, you don't often see the results of that until later on. And you might make quite a few mistakes. So the other thing that you need to teach is it's okay to miss. If you're trying to really hit the ball hard and you're not being reckless, but you've got a pretty good idea about where you're sending it. I mean, there's no point saying hit the ball hard and then when they miss, you say, what were you trying to do? And they go, I don't know, just hit the ball hard. That's not enough. You're still sort of hard cross, hard line, hard middle with a sort of tactical purpose. But if you're missing by a foot, missing by a foot and a half, doesn't matter. It's the sound of the ball. And that's something that as I've got older and I hang out with the pros more, is listening to the sound of the strike. And you can learn so much. And there's a nice little tip for coaches and players out there. In trying to get your players to hit the ball off the middle of the strings, ask them to put their racket face up and then ask them to just imagine. And if you want to with a stencil, you can do this. Just ask them to draw a fried egg. What a fried egg. Everyone's had a fried egg. Put a fried egg on your racket face. And they say, right, okay. Oh, you want me to hit the fried egg? I can do that. I say, well, the fried egg is nice. But what's in the middle of the fried egg? There's a yolk. And that's I'm not joking, it's true. But you want to hit that little yolk. And if you just then keep referring to that in the next 10 minutes, just sort of say, did you catch the whites of the egg? They go, yeah, the whites. Did you catch any of the yolk? Not quite yet. And then you get players really focusing on the timing of the strike. And that moment, which is it's a little bit, if you're talking about if you're born with it, a sense of timing, you can be born with that. But also you can teach it if you get in there sort of early enough. You can talk about the rhythm, the timing, the sound, and you get that pop. And it's like when you give your mate a high five and you go, whoa, did you hear that noise? And other times you sort of shank their fingers and you're like, oh, I'm really sorry about that. Can we try it again? When you go in for that big, high five pop and it's like, bomb, that's timing. If any golfers out there, you've all stood there on the driving range and gone shank, 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 woohoo! This one's gone. So you can teach it if you're aware of it, and you're aware of the little triggers and the little. Again, I come back to the sound. Listen to the percussion of your strike. So if we can hear the sound of the strike above all the screaming and the screeching of tennis nowadays as well, then that's fine. But listen out for that. Have a go this week. Try and hit the middle hard.
Yeah, Muller it. Brilliant. Well, that is obviously going to be an exciting final. So we're all looking forward to watching that. Just to finish up, really, we've had a question come through from Whaley Herr, who asks, as part of the Ask Justin series, he said, how does a parent increase their child's interest in tennis? So he wants to get your thoughts on that question.
Okay, that's interesting, because my flippant response, having seen some bad behavior over the years, is to have as little to do with their tennis as possible. But then that needs drilling down into. Again, what's been really interesting, where I work at St. George's College, it's a school site, and we've had the first 5 weeks of training and no parents are allowed to watch. And it is the best environment that I've ever come across in 30 years of coaching. It's amazing. The players are so relaxed. They can enjoy, and they've said how much they enjoy not having that. So listen, the best thing you can do is be enthusiastic about tennis as a whole. Try not to label your child as a tennis player. Something I've heard parents do when they introduced their children to other parents is, oh, hi, this is John. Yeah, he's a tennis player. And I'm thinking, no, he's not. He's your son. Don't put that label on tennis player, because when things are going well, great. But when things aren't going well, then the kid sees themselves as a tennis player, and that becomes sort of their identity. And if they're not doing well as being a tennis player, then they don't feel so good as a person. So you have to be very, very careful. This is John, he's my son. He's a great boy, works hard. He plays tennis, he plays football, he plays cricket, he does a bit of everything. So be enthusiastic. Make sure that you know your taxi routes around the place, because in order to be a good tennis parent, you're going to have to be a good Uber driver. Know where all the tournaments are, know where all the clubs are. And often, please don't watch. Please don't watch every practice. Please don't watch every match. Please don't, because it's just innate, I think, in all parents. I find it so difficult to just criticize, and you don't mean to criticize, but we all do it. And these are children, and they take it so hardly. They take it so harsh. It really means a lot to them. So, and the best way to stop doing that is actually not to watch, because then you put your money where your mouth is. It's your tennis, John. It's your tennis. It's your tennis. It's not my tennis. It's yours. I drive you. I pay for it. I organize lessons with your coach, but it's yours. Oh yeah? How come you stand there every time and you watch me and you play like it's your tennis then, Dad? Prove it by saying, I'm off to the shops. I'm going to go get a coffee.
Mm.
And you have your lesson with your coach, or you have your lesson, you have your match. Well done.
Mm.
Yeah. And when you come back, you can say, oh, time to go and do something else. And the player says, well, what about my match? Says, no. We can't have your tennis taken over your life. Let's go do something else now. Anyway, did you enjoy it? Arm around their shoulder. Did you enjoy it? It's the best thing you can do. Best thing you can do. As they get a little bit older, the player will really, really appreciate that. And then they'll start to come to you and say, but did you watch it? And you say, yeah, I did. Any chance we can just like talk it through, because it might be quite nice just to get your opinion. Yeah. I think you could have run for a few. I don't know if you could have run for a few more balls. There seems to be a few balls you didn't run for, and that's about effort. But I don't know much about tennis. But what do you think? And he might go, yeah. I gave up a little easy today, huh? And you can start to have bounce, and then go, right, let's go do something else. Let's go and make lunch. Don't let it all take over your head and take over your life, because you see that too much. Keep it fun, keep it fresh, keep it interesting, and make sure that it's, if your player's ever going to be good, it has to become a passion, but it has to become their passion. Make sure it isn't your passion. Because I've seen a lot of tennis players get to 13, 14, they're running on fumes. They're like saying, please tap out. I want out. I want out. But I'm too scared to say to my mum or dad, I don't want to play anymore. So
do you think as
17 or 18 and they're still enjoying it and still playing, and they can go to college and play tennis? Well done, mum and dad. Great job.
As a slight follow-up question to that, do you think there's been plenty of professional players out there, or players that never reach the heights because of the influence of their parents on it? Do you think there's been talent wasted over the years?
Oh, I think there's been talent, and of course we never hear about it. I mean, the sort of famous thing that used to happen at the academies was, the academy's approach was to throw 100 eggs against the wall and hope that one doesn't break.
Yeah,
that's reckless. That's really reckless. But all you got to do is read any autobiography, and if you read the Andre Agassi autobiography, you read through it and you realize what his father was, a maniac. How on earth Andre got through that, who knows? And then he meets up with Steffi Graf, and then Steffi Graf's father, Peter Graf, and then you realize that they're both absolute maniacs. So it's a bit of a weird one, because you need, I think we're trying to buck the trend now, do you need a maniac parent who's completely psycho to make it? It's possible to make it with a maniac parent, but again, you could be the one egg that doesn't break. You got 99 chances that you break, and you never even talk to your parents anymore. Really? You want to risk that for one egg not to break?
Yeah.
There must be another way of doing it. And the more sophisticated we get, we're getting more sophisticated as human beings and as parents and as coaches. And there's cleverer ways, smarter ways of getting what you want out of players, rather than try to break them or try to force them into doing something that they don't think is theirs anymore. They think I'm only doing it to keep mum and dad happy.
Yeah.
I'm only going to training because I hear them talk about it at dinner parties all the time. Oh, Jessica won the recent grade 4. Oh, she's marvelous. No, your kid's not your kid anymore. Your kid's a trophy that you're parading around. So anyway, I've seen some pretty bad, but you tend to get more crazy stuff than good stuff, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, there you go. That's a fantastically great insight, and hopefully that answers the question. So I think we'll wrap it up there. As always, if anyone else has any questions they want to ask Justin, then get them in. Details will be below as to how to get it in. And I wanted to say, brilliant. Thank you, Justin. Have a great weekend. And
Lewis, let's get your bets in. Who's your money on for the ladies' final? Quickly.
I think I'll be supporting Swiatek, but I think Kenin will win. I think Kenin just looks too fierce. And for the men, I'm going to call it now, even though we're at semi-final stage. I think Novak Djokovic, mainly because I'm a big fan, but I think Djokovic will come through the semi, and I think he'll beat Rafa Nadal, who will also get through his semi. Is my prediction. What about you?
Oh, okay. I'm going to go Swiatek, and she's in the doubles. She's in the doubles semi-final as well. So imagine if she was to win both.
Imagine.
Oh, that's crazy. So I'm going to go Swiatek. Come on, let's do it. It's her time. Anyone that beats Halep 1 and 2,
yeah,
we've got enough game. and I'm going to go with. I feel like I want to join you in that Djokovic. I think he's got a point to prove. The conditions are playing heavy. I think he can hit through. I think he can hit through Rafa. So yeah, I'm going Novak as well. Novak and Swiatek.
Okay, right. I think we'll be held to those. So we'll see.
We'll find out next week. Yeah.
We'll see you next week if we're right. So brilliant. Thank you from me. Thank you from Justin. Thank you for watching, everyone.
Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.